If you are an older man and sense a woman's interest, but notice inconsistency in her behavior, the pattern can be confusing. She appears engaged. She asks thoughtful questions. Then she withdraws. The reaction is often self-doubt, whether something inappropriate was said, whether age is a factor, or whether the situation is a game. When a woman desires an older man, the initial evaluation is rarely about income or appearance. It is more often about strength. In most cases, that assessment centers on two fundamental questions. The way those questions are answered tends to determine whether attraction decreases or whether she feels secure and increasingly engaged. These dynamics are not limited to dating. They reflect a broader issue of personal direction and emotional stability. When a woman is attracted to an older man, she is typically seeking stability rather than novelty. Psychological research consistently shows that women prioritize emotional security and perceived competence in a partner, particularly when the partner is older. By the mid-30s and beyond, there is often an assumption of direction. Not perfection, but direction. The evaluation behind her questions is straightforward, whether he is grounded or simply older without clarity. That distinction explains the importance of the first question. The first question is usually indirect. Where is your life going? It may appear in everyday language. She may ask about long-term plans, future goals, or current projects. On the surface, these are ordinary topics. Functionally, they assess purpose. If an older man demonstrates no direction, the perception of instability increases. Research in attraction psychology indicates that confidence combined with purpose elevates perceived value more than status alone. Purpose carries more weight than income. Common responses undermine this. Statements such as, "I am just figuring things out," "I am surviving," or "nothing special" signal uncertainty. The issue is not struggle. It is the absence of movement. Life circumstances can be demanding. Heartbreak, professional stress, family responsibilities, and burnout affect focus and motivation. Fatigue can begin before the day does. The underlying evaluation, however, is not about flawlessness. It is about progress. Clarity is sufficient. A measured response that communicates direction is more effective than vague reassurance. For example, building a business steadily with focus, improving health and skills, or working toward financial independence in incremental steps. Even modest direction communicates stability more effectively than broad uncertainty. A practical step is to define 3 points: what is being built, what is being improved, and what is being left behind. Inability to answer these indicates a need for recalibration. Without direction, self-respect declines. As self-respect weakens, procrastination increases. Distraction expands. Doubt becomes habitual. Research supports the relationship between purpose and reduced anxiety. Clear goals lower stress responses because the mind no longer perceives disorientation. The first question, therefore, evaluates mission and momentum. The second question concerns emotional strength. It is often subtle. She may tease, challenge, disagree, cancel plans, or describe herself as difficult to handle. These behaviors function as stress tests. When a woman desires an older man, emotional maturity becomes central. Insecure, defensive, or needy reactions typically reduce attraction. Studies linking emotional regulation with perceptions of dominance and leadership explain this response. Stability signals capability. Consider a scenario in which she labels him quiet or uninteresting. An apologetic attempt to gain approval communicates dependency. A composed response that reflects self-assurance communicates steadiness. The difference lies in composure. Maintaining position without hostility demonstrates resilience under pressure. Women tend to detect emotional shifts quickly. If a man's mood fluctuates according to her reactions, instability becomes apparent. When he remains centered, her nervous system registers calm. Biological responses to steady behavior reinforce feelings of safety, and safety supports attraction. A practical exercise is controlled pause. When challenged, waiting 2 seconds before responding reduces impulsivity and increases perceived confidence. This can be practiced in professional settings, social interactions, and family conversations. Emotional regulation strengthens through repetition. Attraction depends less on rehearsed lines and more on consistent stability. These principles extend beyond dating. Burnout, distraction, and lack of structure often underlie relational instability. A basic daily framework can address this. In the morning, completing one deliberate, challenging task establishes discipline. Examples include a cold shower, 10 push-ups, or reading 5 pages. Discipline reinforces confidence, and confidence influences tone and presence. In the afternoon, dedicating 60 uninterrupted minutes to a primary goal builds measurable progress. Removing distractions during that period increases focus. Over 30 days, this amounts to 30 concentrated hours directed toward a defined objective. Direction becomes tangible. In the evening, reflection replaces passive escape. Asking what improved that day and writing a single sentence reinforces forward movement. Accumulated progress strengthens internal stability, which naturally addresses both relational evaluations. The underlying motive behind these tests is not harm but security. If a man responds poorly, it reflects structural gaps rather than inherent weakness. Structure can be built. Emotional strength develops through daily choice. When mission and regulation improve, behaviors such as chasing, pleading, and overthinking decrease. What remains is steadiness. Steadiness is uncommon and noticeable. The two central evaluations remain consistent where life is heading and whether pressure can be handled without losing composure. The response is demonstrated through action rather than explanation. Continuous improvement, grounded focus, and emotional control provide the foundation.